Hello explorers and welcome to Cozy News Corner, where we talk about open source. And first we're going to go through a couple of vulnerabilities, and the first one out is libpng, which has a critical denial of service. So upgrade. This is where you have PNG images that has potentially harmful code in them. Next up we have curl, which has an imported credential leak denial of service, so need to upgrade that. Next up we have Geopandas, which has an SQL injection risk, so that needs to be updated. Chrome has an imported code execution denial of service, so we need to upgrade our Chromium. Linux kernel has a critical privilege escalation denial of service. You can actually become a different user, which is not good. And then we have util Linux, which also have a privilege escalation risk. And then we have OpenSSH, severe denial of service, unrestricted code. So you can run code that was not intended, so upgrade. And then we have pseudo, which has a critical privilege escalation vulnerability. And when you can pseudo and become root, then that's not great. And then we have Python cryptographic high information exposure. So if you are encrypting or decrypting things with Python cryptography, somebody might be able to read that information because there is exposure in the air. And last but not least, we have a denial of service for .NET 10.0. So first in the news, we have PhotoFrism, which is an AI-powered photos app, which brings now Llama support integration. So we have more possibilities to run local models with this tooling. And there are also added better improvements for detection and thumbnails. So if you're running this, I think an upgrade is in order. Good news! Google Chrome on Linux might be available soon, because Google Chrome, the people behind that, are actually looking at creating an ARM64 version so you can run it on Raspberry Pi and similar OSs. And that should be released somewhere in the second quarter of April or June 2026. So that could be a really good improvement, and maybe there will be a native Linux release later. And next up we have Nvidia 580-142. That is a production ready Linux driver that has a couple of bug fixes. The other driver I talked about last week was 595, and that is a beta version, so that is not something you should run on your own system. But this production ready one is just extra bug fixes and so on. And currently they have two fairly odd bugs that are solved here. We have a USB-C to HDMI adapter that makes the screen go blank sometimes. And last, we have, if you are using 4K monitors in X, then it could fail to set the right mod set. That is a very odd thing. I'm not saying that nobody is running 4K monitors, but I don't think that is common. Next up we have Alma Linux and 9 and 10, which now will gain Nvidia CUDA support. So before, CUDA and Nvidia's drivers were built for a couple of different operating systems. I think there are Debian packages, for instance, and so on. So they are distributed with the operating system. But for Alma Linux, there were no official packages. So when a release came out, they needed to figure out that it was out, build their own packages, and then get it into the release pipeline. And now the Nvidia has taken on themselves to build the packages and send them to Alma Linux infrastructure to be released to the Linux operating system. So that's really nice that that process will be faster. Then we have Valve that has released a new Steam client with a couple of stable updates versus bugs. And so they fixed one case where a client could be stuck in this loading forever spinner in offline mode. And they also fixed a rare crash when downloading games if the regional content server ends in HTTP 2 and the connection had an unexpected termination. So that's of course not good. TrueNAS community has been a little bit in the air now. There have been a lot of discussions back and forth because there were some concerns when they switched over to using internal build systems. So on their webpage, on the repository, they had written this. This repository is no longer actively maintained. The TrueNAS build systems previously hosted here has been moved to internal infrastructure. This transition was necessary to meet new security requirements, including support for secure boot and related platform integrity features that require tighter control over the build and signing pipeline. No further updates, pull requests, or issues will be accepted. Existing content is preserved here for historical reasons only. And that was something that made the community a little bit scared that this could become a really bad way forward for TrueNAS pretty much. So the IX systems which are running this wanted to come and talk to the community and explain themselves. So according to them, the goal is to create a bridge between the community edition and the enterprise grade capabilities. So they have an enterprise version that needs more security, and then they want to have a community version that is maintained and available for everyone to use. And they want to emphasize that the core platform remains open source and the community edition will continue to be free. So as long as the open source, the things are open source, I think that is somewhat fine. The only thing is that you might not be able to verify that the code they have built are the same code that are in the tree, but that should be doable, I think. Or if you're that concerned about it, you can build it your own because the source code is open. Next up, we have a new Steam release again with Proton game fixes. So before, some games were flagged as unplayable. So when you were clicked on play, it said not valid on the current platform and you couldn't even start the game there. But now they are less strict on that. So if you have a game that is installed that could work with Proton, then you will not get that error. Another thing they have changed is that they have added an opt-in flag. So you could send anonymized frame data to them. So they do frame rate data collection and then send them back to Steam. And this is not tied to a particular user or your login or your computer, anything like that. It's tied to the hardware that you are running and the game you are playing. So they want to figure out what hardware is good for a particular game, and also which improvements could we do if for instance we have this particular driver that runs on this particular computer playing this particular game, we get this result. And in that case they could improve the game capability, compatibility information in the future. Next up, we have PeerTube 8.1. This is the decentralized video platform, and they have now improved their podcast support. So now it allows administrators to generate optimized audio files, address the most compatibility glitches with podcast apps. And the Lucid player that was introduced in the 8.x series is now the default player for all installations. OBS has a new release as well, 32.1. and it's released with the new audio mixer. It has better support for WebRTC simulcast support. It now has more undo and redo actions, so some of the filters or these filters or effects didn't have an undo and redo actions, but now more of them have. And they also added partial support for canvases to OBS WebSocket. And now we come to the large, big, huge discussion here about age verification. And first off, the age verification that the different lawmakers are suggesting is in the operating system. So your Android phone, your iOS phone, your Linux environment, your Windows environment, and so on should age verify you instead of the different hosts. And it could be a good idea, because I have been in a situation where one individual was on Roblox, for instance. They sent up an image, got verified as a teenager, even though they were not. And then trying to change that to get the correct age to Roblox was pretty much impossible, because all the support for Roblox is just a bunch of AIs. So you get these generic answers back, and you never will be able to talk to a human. And their drop downs where you can choose a particular age as a parent didn't even have the age that this particular person was. So I couldn't even set the correct age, which is very annoying, and that is not a good solution either. I just wanted to say that. If getting it into Linux distros or Windows environments might not be the right choice either. In my case, I think more parents should be more available for their kids and be a part of their internet journey and help them to navigate the systems that we are going into. And in some cases, gathering information about people's age, people's preferences, people's disabilities, and so on, could actually create a registry for sex offenders to find easy targets when they want to do a crime, which would be even worse than actually the kids being harmed by seeing something inappropriate, in my mind. So there is a lot of different sides to this coin. But when it comes to Linux, we have a couple of responses and we have a lot of discussions. So first off, we have Aaron Rainbolt from the Ubuntu Community Council member. And he is stating that we are currently looking into implementing an API that will comply with the laws and also not being a privacy disaster. So that's good. System 76, the Linux system manufacturer and the company behind Pop OS, they say if there is any solace to these two laws, it's that they don't have any real restrictions. There is no age verification. Whoever installed the operating systems or created an account simply has to say what age they are. They can lie, they will lie, and they are being encouraged to lie for fear of being restricted to a nerfed internet. And there are no official statements from Linux Mint yet. Arch Linux has remained publicly silent on the issue as well. Meanwhile, discussions in the NixOS community suggest that they are waiting for the larger distributions to decide. Then we have this character, David Heinemann Hansen from Omacrity Linux, that is stating that he has no plans to respond to the retarded California law. And then we have Midnight BSD that has taken a very firm stance against compliance by updating their license to explicitly exclude California residents using desktop They're using it for desktop purposes. So this is their README, and it says, the compilation of software known as Midnight BSD is distributed under the following terms. Residents of any country, states or territories that require age verification for operating systems are not authorized to use Midnight BSD. This list currently includes Brazil, effective March 17, 2026, California, effective January 1, 2027, and will also include Colorado, Illinois, New York, provided they pass their currently proposed legislation. We urge users to write their representatives to get these laws repealed or replaced. Another thing is the BSD community, which has attempted to address the complicated case and created a merge request and submitted it to XDG specifications maintainer for freebsd.org. The proposal recommended adding a dbus interface, org FreeBSD H verification, to allow applications to query the operating system for an age bracket. And the proposed API defined 5 different categories: unknown, under 13, between 13 and 15, 16 and 17, and then 18 plus. But in the end, the author closed the merge request and included that further work would not take place within the portal infrastructure used by technologies such as Flatpak. So they closed it down because the community was pretty much enraged. So there is a lot of responses to these laws, and we will see where they go in the future. It's a huge topic, and there is no really good solution yet. Last but not least, some fun news. SuperTux 7.0 has been released after 4 years of work and with major world redesign. So the worlds have been updated, the visuals have been improved, there are new enemies and an updated gameplay mechanic. So I'm really looking forward to trying this at some point. I don't think I have played SuperTux. Have you played SuperTux? Leave a comment in the comment section down below, or for any other reason, if you have any comments or suggestions. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And I really want to see you in the next video.